And now we are moving forward to Master Araf's presentation on role of human rights to achieve sustainable development goals. So we have Araf Seth, who is also SDG Choupal, a child ambassador, and he's also my inspiration. And he's really great. He's doing really great work. He's associated with many organizations that are doing work to working in the field of climatic action, and he's a young environmentalist. I welcome you, Araf, and thank you for joining us. Now, I forward the key to Araf, and you can present. The voice is not coming, Araf. Your voice is not coming. No, it is not coming.
Now?
Yeah, it's now. Now it's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Aniket, for giving a brief introduction about me. Let me share my screen. Aniket, can you allow me to share my screen for the
Yeah,
presentation?
yeah. Wait. Yeah, so now you can share.
Thank you. Just a minute. Hmm. So, hi everyone, I'm Arif Seth, and today the title of my presentation is Significance of Human Rights to Achieve SDGs. Human rights and SDGs, the two sides of the same coin. You all may be thinking that how both of them are the two sides of the same coin, as both of them work in different ways, right? But we should not forget that though they work in different ways, but they have the same goal. Before I go into depth of human rights and SDGs, let me brief you about them. The human rights are the basic rights and freedoms that belong to every person in the world, from birth until death. They apply regardless of where you are from, what you believe, or how you choose to live your life. These basic rights are based on shared values like dignity, fairness, equality, respect, and independence. The Sustainable Development Goals, also known as the Global Goals, were adopted by all United Nations members states in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. The Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 Agenda are a transformative framework which are based on human rights. Over 90% of the goals and targets of the SDGs correspond to human rights obligations. As member states make progress on SDGs, they make progress on their human rights obligations. Hence, they are the two sides of the same coin. One important indicator of progress in the SDGs is the existence of independent national human rights institution, NHRIs, which comply with international standards known as the Paris Principles. NHRIs help address inequality and discrimination by receiving and addressing complaints and advising governments on rights based legal frameworks. NHRIs also serve as bridges between civil society and the state. They'll build the capacity of human rights defenders, prevent human rights violation from taking place, and build strategies for the inclusion of marginalized people of the society. SDG and human rights run hand in hand, where both of them visualize a better society and environment by accomplishing different goals and objectives. The right to life cannot be realized without basic rights to save water, air, and land. A human rights approach allows the quality of life of all people to be a central part of decision making, and these rights cannot be sustained until and unless they are acquired with safe resources through SDGs. Thus, both of them are connected, and one cannot be accomplished without the other. Human rights should be the same for all people, no matter what their background is, their race, origin, etc. All people deserve to be accepted as they are by the society. The UNSGs give us a platform to create a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity. It provides us with more guidance and metrics to measure our progress. There are 17 declared goals of the UN SDGs which are to be achieved by 2030. These goals are made to accomplish the objective of a sustainable world for the conservation of natural resources and also for achieving a better society and secure future, which can only be obtained by following the 30 declared human rights made for our freedom and protection. But are we all aware about our human rights? No, we are still left to bridge the gap between humans and their rights. Sustainable Development Goals help to fill this gap. Let us see how SDGs come into action here. I'm putting a problem in front of you, and if you can help me find a solution of it. The problem is the lack of awareness about human rights. Even educated people are not fully aware of their human rights. Could you give me any solution in the chat box? You will get 10 seconds to give a solution in the chat box if you can do so, or I will move on.
No, just 1 minute. I will have to open it to answer. Just one
Okay.
minute, Arav.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now can send us their responses. So all the delegates can send their responses now in the chat box. One have sent programs like this, such Chopals. One has sent the education. One has sent run the campaign and share via social media. Social media,
Okay.
making people more educated. Akshat has sent. Miss Bhavya Saxena has sent. Only solutions could be campaigns to increase the participation. Like there are so many. Like most of them are. Uh, the answer of most of the delegate is the education, a different subject of human rights at school. Mr. Samarth Khandelwal says. You
I will
can see
stop
in
you
the
there,
chat.
and okay, let me go further and tell everyone the solution.
Yeah,
So SDGs come into action and help us to understand our rights so that they are not violated. SDGs engage communities, youth, local authorities, organize campaigns to spread the awareness about human rights. But the most important thing is that we need youth. as change agents or change makers to bring a visible and sustainable impact in the society. But how can youth be a change maker for a better society? The first and the most important step is to be aware of our own rights and aware others around us, like classmates, friends, about SDGs and human rights. The second step to do is initiate campaigns and workshops about SDGs and human rights. You can start this from your school, college, or office, like we are doing in this conference, in which we have invited our relatives, friends, and acquaintances, or we took help of social media to spread a word about it. The last but not the least, engage communities in action oriented activities which promote SDGs and human rights. It is important to involve different communities like rural, urban, underprivileged in activities for their awareness about SDGs and human rights. A little less conversation, a little more action. These wise words were said by Erna Solberg, Prime Minister of Norway. It is time for action now to do the real groundwork to achieve SDG goals by 2030. I like to quote a few statements about human rights to sustainable development from conferences which were held in Rio, Beijing, and Cairo. The Rio Declaration deeply says that human beings are at the center of concerns for sustainable development. They are entitled to a healthy and productive life in harmony with nature. In order to achieve sustainable development, environmental protection shall constitute an integral part of the development process and cannot be considered in isolation from it. Beijing Declaration deeply announces that we are deeply convinced that economic development, social development, and environmental protection are interdependent and mutually reinforcing components of SDGs development, which is the framework for our efforts to achieve a higher quality of life for all people. Equitable social development that recognizes empowering the poor, particularly women living in poverty. We utilize environmental resources sustainably is a necessary foundation for sustainable development. Cairo Program of Action says that the objective of development is to raise the quality of life for all people through population and development policies and programs aimed at achieving poverty eradication, sustained economic growth in the context of sustainable development, and sustainable patterns of consumption and production of human resources development, and the guarantee of all human rights. Now, I'm going to discuss of, about a few examples to show the significance of human rights to achieve SDGs. Since it is our human right to have a safe and healthy environment to live, SDGs propels us to work for safe and a healthy environment. Clean water, safe food, and housing are the basic rights for any human being. SDG's objective can be fulfilled when human right has access to an adequate standard of living, including access to safe food, clean water, and housing. Millions of people die because of scarcity and inferior quality medication and medical equipments. The right to the highest attainable standard of health can be achieved through SDGs. Similarly, SDGs also emphasize on gender equality. So do the human rights to equality between men and women, including in matters relating to reproduction and to equal partnership in the family. Overall, these examples were to aware that how human rights and SDGs goes hand in hand. If a person is not entitled to his human rights, then how can he or she help to fulfill the objectives of SDGs? With this, I would like to conclude that human rights and SDGs are the two sides of the same coin. Both of them are dependent on each other for the betterment of the world. It's our job that we accomplish all the objectives of and goals of human rights and SDGs. Let's stay the course for a better future, better environment, and a better society. Thank you. Now I would like to hand over the screen to Aniket. Aniket?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Arav, for presenting it so well. It was really great to see your slide, and I've been receiving so many DMs to share your slide with them. They they thought that it was really helpful to understand the correlation between human rights and sustainable development goals. Thank you so much, Araf. And now I